What's happening, Wisdom Warriors? Back at it for another video. How's everybody doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fine. Hope all is well, man. Just want to give a shout out to my dad up there, man. Always being there for me, always being by my side. I love you, Dad. Thank you, man. I just got massive chills. I know you're in this room right now with me as I record these videos. Thank you. Thank you for all you did. Thank you for all you did on your journey, all you went through for all of us, and the things you taught me and so many others. I love you, man, from my heart. I love you, Dad. Well, I want to talk a little bit about resistance, everybody. And it's interesting, man, how resistance works. How sometimes we don't even realize we're resisting. And I actually am realizing how I've been resisting in certain aspects. And man, it's like I'm gaining so much more awareness to how the resistance feels in my body and how it feels in general. And then I'm like, oh wait a minute, I'm in resistance to what the universe is trying to essentially maneuver for me in my favor. And what's interesting about resistance and what's interesting about us resisting, we're actually delaying the process even further, even more than it already is. And yet we are so impatient and we want it now, but yet we resist. And we resist because we don't know, because there's too much unknown, because there's fear, because we're like, oh, well, fuck, man, if I resist this and I fight it, like the relationship dynamic with my family or the relationship dynamic with my friends, like feels like it's not supposed to be happening, but yet I don't want it to end, so I force it or try to keep it the way it was. And yet it's almost like I've described us holding on to our old version of ourselves dangling down the mountain, and we're like, our legs are on the edge of the mountain, and we're like trying to grip so tight onto that old self so it doesn't fall like to its death. And yet we need to let it go. And this is so many things in our lives. If it's not a job, if it's a family dynamic, if it's a romantic partner, we're so used to that identity, or so used to, like, oh, I've been this person, married to this person for 30 years. Showed up this way. I've gone to this job. I've done this thing, but yet it just doesn't align anymore. It doesn't feel right. It just doesn't feel good anymore. But yet we try to hold on to it because we're afraid of what the new is going to be. We're afraid of like changing all, like having to start all over again, or start in a new way. Like I have to show up differently now. I have to, but not only is it hard to let go of that, but it's hard to resist that change, or resist like it not being the same anymore. I have struggled with this for years now. Like years. Like change has been one of the hardest things for me, and I know for so many others too. I feel like more men than women even. I feel like women kind of adapt a little bit easier to change than men do. I feel like men really, really struggle, at least I have. And a lot of men that I've met, my father included. And yet there is a lot that do easily adapt to it, but then like the part of like well, it's almost like you see people that have been in relationships, like friendships, family members, uh, whatever the dynamic, romantic partners, like, oh, I've been friends with these people since childhood. For me, it's been pretty hard to keep a relationship that way that long because I feel like I've changed so much. But yet there has been relationships that I have been close with that have like friends that I did have for a very long time, but there was a lot of arguments, there was a lot of uh, you know, disagreements because we were all changing and didn't pay attention, or the awareness wasn't there. So I found myself resisting change massively. I mean, massively. I remember people changing in my life and me not changing, and then freaking out when I noticed, and I woke up finally. I woke up finally, and I was like, "Oh my God, what the hell is going on? What happened? Like my life is still the same, and I feel stuck, and it doesn't feel like it's changing. But these people are now getting married and having kids and moving on, and still in the same place I was." And that was extremely hard, seeing it that way, seeing it on that side of the fence. And then now I'm changing and been changing for the past 7 to 10 years, but really, really changing in the last couple years. And then having to then deal with the fallout of people that don't really understand or adapt to my change. And so that all is also like kind of in line with resistance to change, and change is hard, man. But yet it's so constant, and it's always happening, and it's always like everything is always changing no matter what. Like being in this new place that I live for the past 4 years, or I think it's 4 or so years, and the change of seasons, watching the leaves change, watching the the change of the winter and to the summer, to the spring, to the fall. But then when I was living in South Florida and we had no change in the external, we did, but it was not as drastic. And that's why I've talked about on the channel before how I feel like these environments that in the external that have massive change during seasons helps us a little more adjust to change within ourselves and within people around us and with the world at large changing, versus you being in an area that doesn't have constant change in the environment. Then you don't really notice the real estate changing, the land changing. You don't really notice it as much because it's always hot there. It's a tropical environment and it never changes. So it's very hard to notice the change as much as you would in an environment that has seasons. But you can really feel resistance within the body when you have that awareness. I've noticed more and more how much I've noticed the resistance I'm having towards different situations that I've been in for a majority of my life. And that has been the hardest for me. And I have resisted change. And I've wanted to go back because I didn't want to lose those connections or those relationships. But then I realized, well, man, this is like slowly slipping away and I don't have any control. There's no control whatsoever that I have. And yet I'm still trying to, it almost feels like this bit of tug of war within me. I'm like pulling the rope like this. And there's this inner battle to let go and then you have resistance again, and then to let go, and then resistance again. And it's like, but I'm becoming more and more aware of that resistance that I've been having, and that control, and more and more I've been loosening the grips that I've been having, and it's been super hard, man. Really, really hard, but as we're evolving and as we're continuing to change, we have no choice anymore. We're being forced by the universe. We're either being forced out of resistance, forced out of change, and forced out of control, of having control. We're being put in situations where we don't have a choice but to let go, but to trust the unknown, but to trust the universe, God, source, divine. We're being put in these situations that we can't go outside of ourselves anymore, that we can't look to the external. We're being forced in it, and we don't have a choice anymore as the collective, as humanity. Like, it's become a point where the universe is at their wit's end, kind of, so to speak, and we just don't have a choice anymore. And so I urge you to pay close attention to the resistance that you have in your life and in different areas of your life, of what you're resisting and why. And look at that, and look at yourself in the mirror of why you're resisting these things. Why you don't want to just let go and trust. Why you're trying to resist all these different aspects of your life. Because it's only hurting you. Take a deep breath with me, man, and just breathe in deep. And let go of that resistance. I love you all so much. From my heart to yours. Take care of yourselves and each other. And let go, man. Trust. And believe that you're on the right path and you're exactly where you're supposed to be. I love you all so much. Take care of yourselves. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment on this video. And if you like the format that I've been doing and the content, and I'd love to hear your feedback. Take care of yourselves and each other. From my heart to yours, I love you all. Let's go, Wisdom Warriors. We got this.